Good evening, everybody. Happy Wednesday, and welcome to my Wednesday live stream. Second week in a row, trying to make it happen. I think I'm online. Let me know if you can see me. So, today I want to talk about something that over the last few years I've become very passionate about, and it's about helping people become healthier, happier, and harder to kill. The fitness and the nutrition and all that stuff takes care of itself, right? But the thing that I like working with people on, and the thing that I've noticed from all the men that I work with, is it's much bigger than fitness, right? We use fitness as a catalyst to help you be happier and healthier and get through life better, right? And over the past 5 years, I've had two children. I've got two businesses, went through a pandemic. It feels like life is on fast forward. It has for the last few years. And I'm not sure if other people feel the same, but talking to other people, I know they do feel the same too, because you're constantly connected. You constantly got your cell phone. You've constantly got, an iPad, a laptop. You've got 5, 10 different tabs up. I see people's laptops, they've got like 19 different tabs up. And it just feels like we're moving on fast forward. This past 5 years for me has gone. It feels like yesterday it was 2020 and it's 2025. And so I don't want the next 20 years to go like that. So I know that I've got to live with intention. And recently I read this book. It's called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. And I know that when you talk to people, you go, "How's it going?" And they say, "I'm busy." And you just say, "I'm busy" back. And that sometimes is the end of the conversation. But I don't think that's good enough. And the men that I work with in the Ox 100 challenge, that's the main thing that we're trying to fight against is you just being busy over being productive. Because the cost of being busy is a shallow focus, burned out mind and body. You got no presence in your relationship, and you make zero progress in your training or in your life for things that you really want to go for. Because just showing up and going through the motions is not how you get things done. So the battle is just constantly being in a rush, constantly being in a hurry. And in that hurry, there's no depth, there's no strength, and there's no purpose. Now, I grew up with no real religion, right? I grew up in a country where I didn't think there was really anything for me in religion and the Bible and stuff like that. It was just seen as something that was old fashioned and like it was over there in a church. And, my daily life didn't take me through that. So I didn't really get to experience learning anything from, the Bible and from Jesus and stuff like that. But my whole life, my favorite books have been autobiographies. So learning from athletes, learning from business owners, learning from the best, how they train, how they work, all that stuff, right? And so when I picked up this book, it's kind of like an autobiography about the life of Jesus, right? And I didn't really, you know, I wasn't looking for that kind of book. But when I realized like it's not about, you being the most religious person in the world, but it's using it as an autobiography and seeing the rhythm of life of somebody who is arguably the most famous person that ever lived. Like whether you believe that or not, I don't mind, but like this person, how did they live? And how can you take lessons just like you would from a business owner, just like you would from the most successful athletes? And what I found fascinating was the lessons from this book and the way that your life wants to be and the motion of your life just seem to apply to everybody. Like um, they talk about carrying the yoke and how you carry life, basically, right? And one thing that I've been thinking about now is like, I have been driven, wanted to be a professional athlete, want to be a successful entrepreneur, like constantly in a rush to get to the next thing. And when you do stuff like that, what happens? What kind of person do you become? And what I noticed was when you get so focused on yourself and your personal growth like that, you end up hustling, you end up being busy, and you end up just being in a fog. You end up completely unfocused from what you want to do. You end up distracted all the time and you end up angry, right? And that's kind of like not how you want to carry life. And when I look at the last 5 years, how fast it's gone, I don't want to just be completely disconnected from life because I love the people that I get to work out with every day. I love the people I get to work with every day. I love my kids. I love my wife. And so I want all them connections. I want to be intentional about them. So when I work with men, obviously, nutrition is the key to what we're doing. The workouts are number two on what we're doing. But then the next habit that I build into our program is, how do you get up every day? Like, what is the first thing you do? And this is one of the disciplines from the book that I was doing before I read this book, and I was implementing into our plans before I read this book. And it was, is the first thing you do every day, and is the first thing you want to do every day, is grab the news and grab your phone and start doom scrolling through social media or seeing what you want to be angry about that day. And that's not what we do. That's not what I want my men to do. And that's not what I want my clients to do that I work with. And so I want you to set a good habit every day of how you start your day. And so that wants to be, if you can meditate, great. If you can journal, great. I have something that I have on my iPad, and it's just called the Day One Journal. And it asks me one question every day. It just sets me up in a good headspace. And I can add pictures to it. Like, it asks me, like, what is the best thing that happened this week? What is, one memory that you've got from last month? Or just sets you up in a way that you get to think about the good things. One thing that I used to do was a gratitude journal every day. Just write 3 things that you're grateful for. And so rather than just start your day off and like, oh, look what happened over here and the news is bad, or if you go on X or Twitter or whatever it's called, that's not going to set you up for success. You go on social media, you're going to get to see how far behind your friends you are, or you get to see what vacation someone's on and all the highlights of someone's life, instead of sitting down, just being grateful for where you're at, looking at your life, right? And that's how I want to start my day, and that's how I try and teach, or like try and coach my guys into starting their day. And I think that habit with the other two of getting up and moving your body and eating real food just changes everything, right? It's, for me, I think it's one of the most important ones, right? The next thing is, are you just rushing around from thing to thing? Like, what is the most important thing you want to do that day, right? So as I get into phase 2 with the men that I work with, I want to know, okay, we got your fitness down. We have the best gym in Atlanta, right? Like, come and work out. You're going to get fit as hell. All you got to do is show up 3 to 5 times a week. You're going to get fit. Like, we're going to get you strong, fit, and ripped. No doubt. All you got to do is get through the door, right? But then what is your intention, right? When you come in, are you just checking it off? Or what is the main goal? I want to know what your goal is so we can tie every day of that week back to your goal. So instead of just coming in and trying to beat somebody that you don't know on the leaderboard, if your goal is to get strong, you might be bottom of the leaderboard that day. If your goal is to do a high rocks and get really fit and really fast, you might be top of the leaderboard, but with the lightest weights, because your goal is to just get more volume today, get really fast. But you're setting an intention on your training rather than just coming in and checking a box. And as we go on that journey with your training, I also want to know how that looks in your life. So if you do hate your job or you love your job, what is it about the job that you love? And are you setting an intention every day that you do that thing? So like, you want to grow your business. How do you grow your business? Is it going in every day and just checking boxes? No, it's doing the hard thing every day that you don't want to do and making sure that box is checked before everything else. And just like with training, on them days that you see that it's all your weaknesses, but that's your goal, you got to come in and you got to do all them weaknesses. And so set an intention for your day, set an intention for your career, set an intention for your life, or set an intention for your relationship is what we get into, what we layer on after we've got through the nutrition, after we've got through the training, after we've got through all these little basic habits that set you up for success. It's what can we layer on to make your life and your days even better so that you're living with intention, right? And to me, that's where all these little habits stack up on top of each other. I don't think you can start thinking about personally, and I'm sure people have done it. I'm sure there's a lot of people that will disagree, but in my mind, I don't think you can set intention to live your best life if you're not moving your body every day and if you're not eating and fueling yourself correctly, because you feel like crap and you're not in a good headspace. Like my best work happens after a workout. My best conversations I have with people happen after a workout. The best meetings I have happen when we all go and we walk through the park together. Like we move together, you know? And I've seen the power of that. So I think like exercise, nutrition are the basic. Like everybody needs to be moving their body every day, eating good food. And then we layer stuff on top of that, right? The next thing that I've been working on and that I've been struggling with, and I think a lot of men are struggling with it, is like one of the habits that we stack on is most people just want to delete social media. Most people want to stop doing just scrolling mindlessly. They want to stop just watching all these shows on Netflix. And they want to take a little bit of rest when they're not at work and they're not, at the gym. They want to be able to disconnect. And it's like a deliberate rest. And the thing this book talks about, which I'd never really thought about, was taking a whole day, a Sabbath day, taking that day off and just completely disconnecting. Some people won't be able to do that, right? So it's like, well, can you disconnect once a day? Can you, when you get home at night, put your phone somewhere where you don't see it until the morning? Can you delete all the social media apps off your phone so that you have to log into a computer to see them? Can you take a break where you just, all your notifications are turned off after a certain time and you just keep bringing that time earlier and earlier so that your mind feels a little bit clearer, right? And it's just like a deliberate rest. A good tip that they say is just start with 4 to 6 hours of not being on your phone and just see where your mind goes from there. When I talk to people about stillness and rest and not being on their phone, I just say, like, when was the last time you went home and you just were in silence? And I can't really do it. I have to have a podcast on. I have to have some music on. You know, like some people still put the radio on. When I realized that was a problem is like, we're so connected to these screens that I take it sometimes and I've got it like in the shower with me. And like the shower is where your best ideas come from. The shower is where you set your, like you set yourself up for the day, right? You know, it's gone too far when the phone is just with you for everything you do every day. So removing that, but being intentional about it is something that I've seen from pretty much all my clients want to do that and have set about trying to do that. The thing that, is very difficult in this culture is something that is next is just living a little bit simpler, right? And I know it's not sexy. Like we've all got way too many sneakers in our closet. We've got, we want the next nicest car. We want the big screen TVs. We want all that stuff. The person who actually gave me this book, their life changed from this book. They threw away their TV. They changed jobs. They started doing things with way more intention. And that's just not easy to do, right? Like it's so much easier to just glide through life, right? To just listen to something so you don't have to think, to go home and just put on a show that is mind numbing, or pick up a video game, or, have a few beers on every night just so like it shuts you down. But to live with intention and make things simpler so that you don't just have this constant distraction, this constant dopamine rush. Like the things that I work with my clients on are all the same thing. It's all dopamine. It's You're addicted to sugar, easy dopamine. You're addicted to being busy, easy to just be busy so you don't have to think about what you want to do. And every time you check something off your to-do list, whether it's important or not, gives you a little dopamine rush. Every time your phone dings, you feel like you're accomplishing these tasks, but they're not moving you forward in your fitness. They're not moving you forward in your life. They're not making your relationships better, but they just give you a little buzz of dopamine. They make you feel better. You fill your weekend with drinking and partying and celebrating, but that's not really what you want to do. You just need a rest. You want to recover. You want to set yourself up for the week. Living with that intention is really difficult, right? And it's so easy to just get caught up and just be like, I'm too busy for that. But if you don't start living with that intention, then you're just going to keep being busy, and you're going to keep coming in and checking the box. You're not going to get the results that you want in the gym. You're not going to have the relationships you want. You're not going to have the friendships you want. And you're going to miss out on experiencing some of the great things that are happening in your life because you're just on to the next one. It's all just shallow, shallow moments, moment to moment. And you're not even thinking about the interactions. You're just waiting for the next time to grab your phone to get that little dopamine hit. So that's what the Ox 100 program is. It's you setting a standard for how you want to live, setting your intentions, and then building on them intentions to have the best year fitness wise, the best year relationship wise, career wise, business wise, whatever it is that your main focus is, and to just live with a little bit more intention. In order to become the strongest, fittest athlete you can be, sometimes you got to go 2 steps backwards to go 10 steps forwards. And that's not easy to do because today there's a leaderboard. If you get distracted by that leaderboard today, then the results that you want tomorrow are not yours. They're somebody else's, the person you were competing against. Just like if you allow social media to dominate your life, your headspace is not yours. You've given it to Instagram. You've given it to TikTok. You've given it to somebody else. If you go home every day and you just scroll through whatever's on Netflix, you've given that to Netflix. It's no longer yours, right? So the goal of this is to just take some of that back. Decide how you want to live. Decide how you want to train. Decide what your fitness goals are. Decide what your career, business, life, and relationship goals are. And then set 5 solid habits that you can do every day to take back that power. Because if you don't, the consequences of that for your mind, your body, and just your mental health are not going to be good. So to me, that is the unseen battle that we're fighting every day. Every day that you say you're too busy, every day that you say, oh, I'm busy, every day that you're rushed and you're in a hurry and you're racing to get to the next thing, you're missing out on what your life could be. And I would love you to let me know how that manifests itself in your life in the comments. And it's something that I'm constantly working on, right? I want to wake up every day and I'd love to be able to meditate. My goal is to get there, but my mind is just insane, right? I don't have that control yet, but I'm working on it. I want every Sunday to be able to shut down, shut off, not pick up a screen, not watch YouTube, which is the one thing that my brain always goes to, like listening to YouTube videos. I want to not do that. I want to just be present. I just want to enjoy my kids. I just want to enjoy my family. I just want to go and just be there. And then I want to remove so much stuff from my life. I want it to be so simple. I'm going to get a dumb phone eventually that I can just only text and call on. I'd love to throw away the TV, but man, that sounds scary. And then one of the things is that they talk about in the book is slowing down. So Just stop rushing. Get in the slow lane in traffic. Wait in a long line. Choose the longer line at a checkout and just slow down a little bit, right? What are you in such a rush for? And try and retrain your brain to stop constantly rushing. I know I'm in a bad headspace and I know I'm rushing around and not in a good place when I'm angry in traffic, right? Because you can't control that. And so if that's you, if any of this speaks to you, man or woman, we have some great coaches that work with the women. I mostly work with the men. But if you're an entrepreneur, if you get something from this and you want to work with me, my email is ann@ox.fit. I would love to help you. Join me in this journey of just trying to make, my life more intentional and be a little bit more present and be a little bit more intentional about everything that I'm doing and not allow the next 5 years to disappear like the last 5 years have. It's been a whirlwind, right? And so if you feel the same, message me ann@ox.fit. And you can also message Lauren@ox.fit, Sav@ox.fit, and then Caitlin's East@ox.fit. And we'd love to talk to you about your goals and help you live, train, and just be more present. All right, let's go crush it. Have a good week, and I'll see you next week.